as a leader, what are the most important elements of that role and that job?
Yeah, I think the again, going back to sort of perspective and mindset, having the right mindset is that I think we'll start with the problem is that many people ascend into leadership and embrace the boss role. And in fact, that's a title that always made me uncomfortable and bristle. There's a lot of baggage that comes along with the boss and being bossy. And I think um, the more correct description of what's required of the mindset of somebody ascending to and then maintaining a leadership role is that your job is not as the individual player on the field, but now you play a significant role in creating the rules, the boundaries, defining the roles, and then policing those boundaries, those borders, and those roles. And I think I've seen it many times as people ascend into leadership, if they're not given the appropriate coaching and mentorship, if they haven't had examples of good and bad leadership, because both are very instructive. But you tend to fall into that bossy type of leader where it's like, I'm going to make all the decisions and this is what we're going to do. And the more effective leader that's going to create a sustainable organization is the one that says, let's get clear and crisp around the roles we each have and we each play around this table, in this room, on this podcast. Let's talk about the boundaries and how we identify and resolve conflict across those boundaries. And I mean, it doesn't have to be as heavy-handed as I'm describing it, but it does have to be the mindset you have, which is it's my role as the leader of this group to make sure, Dominic, you're clear and you understand what your role is, and Justin, you understand what your role is, and to be watching, observing, and saying, oh, looks like we're coming to a boundary issue where you're uncertain as to who owns this, or how your roles should be best used to address this circumstance and this issue. And if you and I think a lot of us have had this example. If you don't have leaders that understand the fact that they need to define roles, maintain boundaries, enforce the rules, there ends up being it could be one of two things. And I've experienced both of these. One is you create this sort of, how do I want to describe it? Like cage match, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't enforce the rules and the boundaries, and I take a team of people and I say, let's all work to achieve this goal, hit the sales goal, create this product, move this mountain, whatever we're going to do, and I don't enforce those rules, then among all the contestants, there's a cage match that takes place, and eventually someone emerges victorious. And it's the person typically who is behaving in a way that is least sustainable for the organization. They're behaving in a way, throwing people over the top rope so they can get their way and force it down the road. And again, I've lived in that, and I've seen it, and I watched it, and it there's nothing you can say we achieved success in this project, in this endeavor, in this time period or quarter because I let you all go. And Sally, you took a stranglehold control and you threw people out of the ring and just gonna, okay, great. Try and turn that wheel again.
Wreckage.
Try and do the next thing. Try and hit the next quarter and see if those other people are willing to get in that ring and get in and be a part of that team. No, they began to jettison. I don't want to play in that. That's not cool. So you have
or
to
they're in
be
the ring
able
with
to.
pillows.
I was going to say, you have to be able to, as a leader, have that mindset of, I'm enforcing the rules here in a way that ensures we get success now, and it sets us up for more success in the future. Sorry, Justin, I talked over you.
No, you're good. I talked over you. So yeah, the other side of it is like they're all playing with like pillow fights in there, and they're not, and they have artificial harmony where no one's
Yeah.
willing to actually, push
Well,
back.
and yeah, I don't, yeah, what happens is you have fear, uncertainty. It's like, well, and I've seen that as well. When you get a room full of people and every single one of them in their own way says, does anybody know what we're supposed to be doing? Does anybody, and it can have that effect. You talk about pillow fight. It can have that effect of people just being reluctant to step in and share their gifts and skills and talents, as you're an expert in identifying, Justin. They're not contributing those because they're not sure.
Yeah.
Should I
Yeah.
be
They're just
talking?
like
Should I be listening? Should I be
ambiguity.
taking notes? Should I be leading people? Should I be acting as an individual contributor? What should I do? So all of those problems and many more than we haven't enumerated are the consequence of leaders that don't have a mindset that understand their job is to define the rules, the roles, the boundaries, and then to monitor and manage those over time.
Which is what Patrick Lencioni's book, The Motive, is all about, and it hits on that. It's that idea of you become a leader, you think you're the boss, you're in it because you want the rewards of being the boss, but you don't want to take the responsibility for what everything you just described, to handle the messiness of holding people accountable and keep making sure that everything's running smoothly and defining things effectively. And they have to have that mindset of, I'm here to serve my team and to make it possible for them to succeed, and not just to kind of like do the fun stuff and get the rewards of being in the leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
which I've seen how you lead, and you are definitely one of those responsibility based leaders, Jim.
Well, I've
And
seen,
I
thank you, and I've seen and I've lived in and participated in and experimented with the different styles, because I think that's important. Nobody masters a skill. You don't master bike riding without falling a few times, and so you have to be willing to do that. But again, it comes back to a mindset, a point of view, a perspective that is, I don't succeed without everybody around me succeeding.
yeah, other focus.
I don't succeed at their expense, nor do they succeed at the expense of their teammates or me. And that's hard to create that environment, that bubble, that dome, that biosphere, and maintain it. Because you can create it, you can create that magical snow globe. And I've seen this and I've enjoyed the benefits of that, but circumstances change. And that biosphere, that snow globe, comes under assault. And
Well,
most recent example of this was the pandemic. You can have several teams of people in a large organization functioning well, and then you have this externality of, wow, now we need to change all these. We need to figure out how to keep our employees and our customers safe. Now we need to figure out how to do these operations from a different venue than our desks at work. Those externalities happen, and I'm very proud of the group that I was working with as we experienced those, because we were able to adapt very quickly to those new circumstances, and that's a benefit. Again, if
a
you
team being
embrace this
strong.
mindset as a leader, and if you're about creating this environment, bubble in where everybody understands their roles, there are clear rules about communication, about resolving conflict. There's everybody understands what the goals are, what the mission is. Then you have, as a benefit of that, the adaptability of an organization, because they're not all
Well,
dependent on one person who's the boss telling what to do, or if the boss has told them what to do and is no longer being bossy, them like, well, the circumstances are changed and I don't know what to do now, and I've never felt empowered to actually make my own decisions or make accommodations based on, I don't know what the mission is.
Well, and
Sorry,
there's the external and then the internal. So it's like, if you have turnover, if those things occur, which always happens, so it's always a moving target of the stage of team development. It's a constant adjustment. You never stay in the snow globe. So, but if, like you said, if you have strategic clarity around who you are and your purpose and your values, and there's defined roles, and then someone can come in and it will not be as rocky, and you can also manage, like you said, those external forces much more impactfully, because everybody is willing to throw in and use their innovative and outside the box ideas and solutions and bring their full self to the problems that those things create. So